you are consumed in the fire of God, you will do anything you can to please God. If you'll be consumed in the fire of God, you will do anything you can to be right with God. If you're consumed with the fire of God, you will make a change in this life. If you're consumed with the fire of God, you'll make a change in your family life, for this generation, in your time, in that place. This is the time and this is the place for us as a body to minister the fire of God. Yes. To have the fire of God in our lives. For us to be stirred up with the fire of God, with the presence of God, with the zeal of God, with the passion of God. That the fire of God will so consume us that we won't know who we are. Yeah? Some of us just know who we are in ourselves. You know, I am this and I am that, and I can do this and I can do that. But what can you do in God? What is God doing in your life? What is God doing in my life? You know, do we want more of God? Do we want the firepower of God that will get us from A to B in life? Is it the fire that we are relying on in life? Or is it me and myself and what I want? Is it the fire that's going to get me from one step to the next step? Am I consumed with the fire of God? Is a fire burning in my life? Is a fire burning in my life? Is a fire burning what's in my life? Is the fire consuming my mind? Is it consuming my heart? Is it consuming my life? And I'll tell you, for 6 or 7 months, that's the thing that's been on me, is the fire of God. Realizing that I need the fire more than I need the blessing of God. It's okay to have the blessing of God in our lives, but sometimes we just need the fire of God to just run rampant in our lives, that He can control our lives. Sometimes we get hooked up on the blessings of God. You know, sometimes we just get hooked on certain things in our lives that feel good. You know, faith and praying for people and people getting healed and things. But sometimes we just need the fire of God to just control our lives, to consume our lives, that we can be better people, not for ourselves, but for this life and for Jesus Christ. That we can have an impact in this life. And the title of this message is, and Ronnie said this to me probably 3 years ago. We were sat in the coffee bar, Hot for God in a Cold World. And he said that'll be a sermon one day. So here you go, Hot for God in a Cold World. I don't want to be a cube of ice. Come on. Hello? I don't want to be a cube of ice. I don't want to be, you know, just a block of ice in a pulpit, just a block of ice in a pew. I don't want to just be a block of ice, you know, stale, stagnant, just there, one piece of ice, you know, can't move. Ice is frozen. You know, ice can't move. The only person that can move ice is you. Amen? You know, what do we do when we go to the ice machine upstairs? We take it out and we put it in the cup. It doesn't put itself in the cup. The only way you can melt it is by what? It's by getting hot. It's by putting fire on there. Hot water. Amen? I don't want to be a cube of ice. I want to be on fire for God. Because I know if I can be on fire for God in my life, yeah, that everything in my life will be burnt up. That everything that I want in my life will go as far as my own desires. I know that if I get consumed in the fire of God and be hot for God in a cold world, then this cold world will burn as well for Jesus Christ. Cold people will burn for Jesus Christ. Our schools will be transformed for Jesus Christ. Our workplaces will be transformed. Our cities, our own very country, England, United Kingdom, Britain, whatever you want to call it, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales will be consumed with the fire and the passion of Jesus Christ. If one man can make a difference like Jesus Christ did, one man can make a difference. Jesus did. You know, if we can decide in our world, in our lifetime, that we want to make a difference, that we want to have the fire of God, that we want to have the seal of God in our lives, we can make a difference. Yeah, we can change people's lives. We can change lives. Our own lives can be changed. Our own minds will be changed. God will set you ablaze in this kingdom. That you will be a light shining in a dark world. That you will be a light shining in a dark nation. That you will be a light shining in a dark workplace. That you will be a light shining in a dark college, or in a dark family, or in a dark school. That we will be ignited for the glory and the extension of God's kingdom. Amen? Amen. And there's good things and there's bad things about the fire. You know, there's always a good thing about fire and there's always a bad thing about fire in life. Sometimes we always just think about the bad things to do with fire. But fire can be good. And the natural things that are good about fire is it creates heat, warmth. You know, it will burn things. If I have a lot of things in my garden that I want to burn, I just set it alight, get some paraffin on there, some fuel, set it alight, and that stuff will burn. It creates a zeal, it creates a purpose, it creates boldness, and there is no compromise with fire. I'll tell you, fire does not compromise. Fire takes things out. Fire just destroys things. Fire changes things. There is no compromise with the fire of God. Because I'll tell you, if fire caught all of this building, I'll tell you, it won't say, well, I'll just go for 5 minutes and then I'll put myself out. You know, these bushfires that happen in Australia and these places, man, they'll just start really small, like in a bin, and all of a sudden it just takes acres and thousands of miles to even get the thing to stop burning fire. Fire consumes us. Fire is a consumable. Fire will cause you to be consumed. Fire will cause you to change. The bad things, it's hot. You know, it's dangerous, destructive. You know, it creates change. Sometimes that's bad for us. In our own worlds, in our own minds, we think, well, if I get hot for God, if I really decide that I want to be hot and fuming and hot for God in this cold world, do I really want to be changed? Sometimes we all back from the fire of God because we get ourselves into something and we don't want to get out of it. We all back from the fire because we know if the fire gets hold of us, it will change us. Yeah? The fire of God is there not to change us and take us away from what God's goals and God's dreams and God's visions are for our lives. You know, don't be dissed today. D-I-S. Don't be dissed. What's this? Dream is sunk. Don't let your dream be sunk. Realise that God's not about sinking dreams and visions and goals for your life. Even though you are in the fire of God, I'll tell you, if you are getting yourself in the fire of God, and them dreams and them goals and them visions and them desires that you've got are from God, then the fire will not burn them. The fire will enhance them visions and them goals and them dreams. Amen? So don't be dissed. D-I-S. Don't be dissed. Don't let that dream be sunk in your life. Don't let people destroy them dreams. Don't let people destroy those desires. You know, dishonour, dissatisfied, discontent, disloyal. You know, it all comes from there, doesn't it? You know, and what happens is if we just consume ourselves in the fire, I guarantee all that stuff will burn. You know, the things, our agendas, the way we want to be, even our personalities, I'll tell you now, will change. That's the big one, isn't it? Because we think, well, you know, my personality is part of my DNA, my personality is part of who I am, it's my character. But I'm sorry, but if God says that He wants us to change our minds, our hearts, our attitudes, our lives, and we think, well, that's okay, God, but you're not having my personality, you're not having the way that I have, you know, that my DNA is, or the way that I am. You know, your DNA will never change because that's just part of your makeup, that's just who you are. You know, God's not going to turn around and create, you know, Christy Moore into another person, you know, or Denver Thompson into, you know, Alistair Woolfett or something like that. He's not going to do that. You know, our DNA is unique. That's the reason why people that committed murders 40 and 50 years ago, that's the reason why today they're standing trial for their murders through DNA. Things that they've kept in freezing, they've been able to find in this day and age. But I'll tell you, you know, that's the big one, is our personalities. Because our personality traits can sometimes get in the way of us and God. Us receiving from God. Because sometimes we think, well, I'm changing naturally. I've changed from a long time ago. I've changed from what I used to be like 5 years ago. I've changed from what I used to be like. Well, that's fine, but is the personality traits that we have still the same? Are the way that we act still the same, relates on our personality? But I'll tell you, if we are really consumed in the fire of God, everything like that will go. Yes. I'm telling you, it will go. And it will make us better people. And we'll be better people to get on with. We'll be able to talk to people better. We'll be able to get on with people. We'll be able to embrace people better. You know, people won't want to run away from us. They want to run to us because we have something that they don't have. Amen? All in the fire of God. You know, and this is a word that I have in my heart because I need to be changed by the fire of God. And I know if I ain't changed by the fire of God and won't be changed by the fire of God, I'll stay in the same old place, the same predicament, the same lukewarmness, and the same place 24/7 for the rest of my life. But I know that fire will cause me to move. Yes! Anybody knows if you walk on hot coals, what you're going to do? You're not going to camp out there, guys. You're not going to camp out there on hot coals, are you? You're not going to camp out there in the fiery furnace, are you? You're not going to want to stay in the flames because you're going to get burnt. Your feet are going to get burnt. Your feet will be, you know, 100 degrees. You know what I mean? Fire burns hot.